My name is Virginia Lily Bench. I became involved with the Friends because I saw a need in the community to help add things to the library that were not provided by the budget.
Hello, I'm Karen McDonald, and I got involved with the Friends of the Morgan Hill Library basically because I just loved to read books, and I would come and sort books, and that's what I did for years, was sort books and meet with a few friends every week, or in the beginning every couple weeks, and eventually made some very good friends as the Friends of the Library, and came to see all the good things that the Friends of the Library can do for this community.
My name is Carol O'Hare. I'm the current president of the Friends of the Library. I've been involved with Friends groups for probably 25 years. I just think it's very important that we support our local library, and the Friends for me was the best way to do it. I love books, I love being around books, and being a member of the Friends really gave me that opportunity. It helped me raise money for the library, and libraries always need more money than they have in their budget. So for me, it was very important to help in any way I could.
We were city dwellers, and when we moved to the country, we knew nothing about farming. Where do you go where you want information? The internet was not up like it is now, so you went to the library. The library has a wealth of information. You can learn anything in the library. So a friend of ours knew we lived in the country, and they gave us a rabbit. We wanted to breed the rabbits. How do you tell the sex of a rabbit? We didn't know. Where do you go? The library. We got a book on rabbits. So we went out to the pen, got the rabbit, and got the book. We put the rabbit on the kitchen table, spread its legs apart, got the book on the sex of the rabbit. We read, female has an oval round shape, the male has an oval shaped hole. Spread the rabbit, round or oval? Round or oval? We couldn't decide. We never knew.
One of the good memories I have is just the years of sorting books. That's what I did. I loved to sort books. And we would meet and we'd talk and we would laugh and we'd talk about books and we'd recommend books to each other. And it was just a thing to look forward to every single week, to meet with these people.
A few years ago, I was honored to be named Morgan Hill's Woman of the Year. And this was all related to my work that I had done with the library, for the fundraising that we were involved in for the new building, for helping to make sure that the library was on track, and pushing City Council to act. So I really credit the library for making sure that I was honored in that way.
I think every library needs the support of the community. The Morgan Hill Library has always been a friendly meeting place, and the library needs the support of the community to add different things. Again, it's a budget thing, and we always need things for the library that are not provided in the budget, and raising the money is a good way to help out.
I think I'd encourage people to join the Friends of the Library because they can do something for the community. It doesn't take that many hours out of a week or a month. You can do whatever you want for as many hours as you can fit into your schedule. We have people who sort books. We have people who work in the bookstore for 3-hour shifts. We have people who work the big book sales. there seems to be something for everyone, and anyone I've ever talked to really enjoys it. They enjoy meeting the people, they enjoy sitting there and reading books, they enjoy knowing that what they're doing is earning money that goes right to this library, and people in our community can enjoy it.
A few years ago, I was honored to be named Morgan Hill's Woman of the Year. And this was all related to my work that I had done with the library, for the fundraising that we were involved in for the new building, for helping to make sure that the library was on track, and pushing City Council to act. So I really credit the library for making sure that I was honored in that way.
Hi, my name is Virginia Lily Bench, and I am the first official president of the Friends of the Morgan Hill Library. And the reason I say official is because the Friends had book sales for a few years before I became the president, but it wasn't official because we didn't have an IRS tax exempt status. And when I became involved with the library, I felt that more people would give contributions of books because they could deduct it from their income tax. I became involved with the library when it was over on the old Nob Hill, and the library was a storefront. And it was very easy for me to shop, go to the library, and leave my children there. I became familiar and acquainted with the staff and the librarians, and then they moved over to the location where it is now. And we went to the library many, many times, and of course, being an active volunteer in everything, I decided, what could I do to help the library? And the Friends was one of the first things. Carol Jesh was the head librarian at that time, and her and I got together and decided we could do something that would be an active thing to help the community and the library, because of course with budget limitations all the time, there were things that the library needed that were not in the budget. So we got together and decided to do something about it. The tax exempt status was very important to us because we figured that other organizations would be able to give us donations. I am not one for paperwork, and the IRS, as any of you know who have had any dealings with our good old Internal Revenue Service, just blows your mind. But lucky for me, my next door neighbor was an attorney, Albert T. Vogel, and bless his heart, he did all the paperwork for us, and he got our tax exempt status. And then we could send out letters to various businesses, corporations in town, and they were very happy to send us donations. When we did our book sale, the first book sale, we made $400. Well, that was really great. We were so excited about it because we didn't think we would ever make that much money. And it was just held in one room, and all the sorting was done. Just put the books on the table. Anybody could come and just get the books. We were just glad to have that done. Later, as we became more sophisticated, we decided to separate the books a little bit more. We had children books, and then we started going into reference material. We had fiction, nonfiction, and I'm a science fi fan, so then I knew all the science fi authors, so I would put all the science fi together and I could direct people there. We also had a lot of active people in the community help, like the Boy Scouts and the 4-Hers. People who read don't just buy one book at a book sale. They buy bags of books. Well, books are heavy. So we would ask these young people to come and carry the books out for these people. So when you got a bag of books, we would whistle for one of these kids, and off they'd come and carry a bag of books to the car, and then we're ready for the next sale. Our early sales were held in front of the library, and oh boy, that was a busy day. We would get up early, and all the books from the library would have to be carried out in these big boxes. So you'd grab every man, woman, and child in your family who had a strong back, because a lot of our members, which at that time were about 25 to 30, were inactive members. So you had to get people with big, strong backs to carry those books out, unload them, put them up on the tables. I would run down to old Henry's and get donuts and coffee, and we would have serve donuts and coffee to the friends who were there while we did our book sale. And it was an all-day affair. And then after the sale was over, of course, then there was another job. You just didn't get up and go home. You had to pack up all the books. And Carol Jesh at that time made arrangements with the head librarian of Santa Clara County, and they would come down and take the books and store them in their warehouse so that when they had their book sale, they would use our books so they didn't go to waste. We would have meetings with the librarians to find out what was needed in the library from our big sales. I mean, you know, $400, that was a lot of money 35 years ago. And I remember buying things like, we had a big bulletin board where people could post notices of what was going on in the community. We bought some bean bags. At that time, you know, the library is a vibrant part of our community. It keeps up with all the new technology. At that time, records were a big thing. So we had the record players with the earphones so people could listen to the records. That was a real big deal. So we provided that for the community. Another project that we did was the microfilming of the Morgan Hill Times. The Morgan Hill Times was a very old newspaper, and you need to preserve part of the heritage of your community. So we voted on it and decided we would have it microfilmed. We got the permission from the Morgan Hill Times to go up into their attic and look at the newspapers. Oh my gosh, the papers were dry, crackly, and the microfilm company would prepare the newspapers. They had to be film ready. So all these crackly things, they would be happy to do it, but at a price. Well, of course, you know, with a little amount of money that we made, we couldn't afford that. So Carol and I would go up in that hot attic, spend 2 hours at a time, taping all the papers together to get them microfilm ready, and then she would take them up to San Jose to get them ready to be microfilmed. That was a really big project, and the old Morgan Hill Times was so neat to read. It wasn't like it is today, like a real newspaper. It would have things like Susie Jones had a slumber party last night, and there were 6 girls, and it would name all the girls. Or Mary Smith had her birthday party, and it would list all the kids in the birthday party and what they did, and they went swimming, and they had cake and ice cream. And you could see the whole history of this little town as it grew and progressed. In fact, when I graduated from Gavilan College, a friend of mine wrote a little blurb about the party I had for my family and friends, and that went into the Morgan Hill Times too. So it was really neat to have all this on a microfilm for posterity. I love the Friends of the Morgan Hill Library, and I think you will too. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Karen McDonald, and I became a friend in 1988. I'm going to talk about the book sales. Book sales have been going on for many years before I became a friend. And they needed sorters, so I decided to come on in and help Shelley Hadakiyama and Charlotte Garcia, who I knew were friends. We sorted once to twice a month in the meeting room, and we put the books in the big banana boxes we got at Nob Hill. The boxes were stacked in the meeting room and the community librarian's office when we ran out of space, which we did every year. Sales took place once a year on the first Saturday of June, and Friends volunteers came out at 6 a.m. in the morning, got the boxes stacked them up, put them on the tables, and got everything ready for the 8 a.m. sale. When the sale began, it continued till about 4 p.m. and we had lots of volunteers working the sales. At about 4 then, we cleaned up and we needed lots more volunteers because we had lots of books left over and those books had to be packed up and taken away. And I think originally we probably took them to the dumpsters. And then later on we found recycling and we took books to City Team Ministries. And even later on now, today, they go to Goodwill. But in the old days, they went to the dumpsters. We were happy to make about $2,000 on this sale every year. These sales went on year after year until potential disaster struck in 1994 when rain was predicted. And we had to scramble to get another place for the sale. So we went across the street to P.A. Walsh and asked to use their cafeteria and were able to do that. At 6 a.m. in the morning of the day of the sale, we were a little upset because we thought there's no rain. We'd gone to a lot of extra work to get the books packed up and moved over there. But by 10 a.m., rain. We were very happy that we'd moved the sale inside. We had the sale there, I think, one more year. We did like it there because it was covered. It wasn't hot. You know, June 5th, it seemed like it was always June 5th, was hot, and so it was quite comfortable. Now, in the meantime, Evelyn Kobayashi, a new member and sorter, had started what she called the never-ending book sale, which took place right inside the library. She pulled books, priced them, and set them up on a table near the copier, and the library staff collected the money. Over the table, she'd hung a wonderful Friends of the Morgan Hill Library banner that she made with Sage the Dragon, which became our mascot for many years. He was on our t-shirts and on our book bags. Everyone loved Sage the Dragon. The first year we earned around $1,500 with this never-ending book sale. So we thought, well, maybe we could try something a bit larger, and started our sales in the meeting room held once a month. And we were quite pleased with the money that we made. So around 1966, we tried for twice monthly book sales. It was the first Saturday and third Wednesday of each month. We still had to store books in the librarian's office and the staff room if we had too many books in the meeting room, which we frequently did. They were usually packed. Poor librarians had books all over the place. Some of the leftover books did go to recycling, and others that we considered better went to San Jose State. They either put these books in their own collection, or they saved them and put them in sales that they had there. They were very happy to get these books, which we brought to them several times a year. We drove them up there to San Jose State. Later on, when the library was remodeled, we got some shelves for the meeting room, so that we increased the area we had for our sales. The twice monthly sales were earning approximately $1,500 per month for the last few years in the old library. Now, to accomplish these sales, a crew of sorters was needed. And luckily for us, we had them. A dedicated group of 3 to 8 volunteers came every week to sort, pack up, stack, price the new donations that we got every week. There was always plenty of work to do, and this group always also set up for every single book sale we ever had. They were a very hard-working group. More volunteers were needed to work the sales. There were about 20 active volunteers who worked as sorters or at the book sales. The last few years at the old library, Goodwill came to pick up our discards. Every 3 months, friends working at the cleanup shift would dump all the books left over after a $5 bag sale into the melon crates supplied by Goodwill. Goodwill would come a few days later and pick them up and take them away. No need for the volunteers to climb up and down, up and down, up and down the stairs at the recycling bins. These sales continued until we moved out in 2006 to build the new library. Now things have changed again. Since we've moved to our new library, our bookstore is open approximately 40 hours per week. We have a crew of about 75 volunteers. About 12 of these volunteers come weekly on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Fridays to sort and stock the bookstore. On Wednesdays, our official pricer comes to mark higher priced books. And she's been doing this for years and years, and we're very fortunate to have her. Other volunteers have regular shifts or sub in the bookstore. Again, we have lots of people who give up their time to earn money to support our library. Our bookstore has a wonderful supply of great quality books for sale to the public. We've had a few big book sales in the program room since we have moved here, and these sales are still a work in progress. We're not sure how many, when, or even if we will continue to have these sales. Bargain books are new. They are located in the lobby and sell for a quarter. Another wonderful new addition for our sales is our online book sales, which has been a great success. We are very fortunate to have one volunteer who is willing to take on this big job. Some of our sorters have learned how to use a computer and scanner to check prices on the books before they are given to our online seller. She lists them, describes them, determines the price, packages them, mails them, and corresponds to the customers. Our online book seller is a gem. All book sales earn approximately $3,500 per month, or about $42,000 per year, excluding the big book sales. Doing all of this has taken a lot of organization. And again, we're fortunate to have a very organized and computer literate friend to take charge of the many aspects of our book sales. Really, there are too many people to name who do a multitude of things to make our book sales successful. Thank you to all current and past members who have thought that supporting our community library is worthwhile and have given their time, energy, and great ideas to the Friends of the Morgan Hill Library.
My name is Carol O'Hare. I've been a member of the Friends of the Library since 1999 when I moved to Morgan Hill. For me, the most exciting thing that the Friends have been involved with in the past 35 years is getting a new library. In July 2007, we celebrated the grand opening of the new Morgan Hill Library. This was the culmination of more than a decade of effort by hardworking, committed people, including many members of the Friends. It started back in 1995 when the Friends were involved when participating in a community visioning process to see how the RDA funds should be used. At that time then, it was decided that a new library was needed. They decided it should be a 40,000 square foot library, which was way larger than the 1973 building, which was only 14,000. About the same time, the Friends started looking at possible locations for the new library. One considered was the Sun Suite property on 3rd Street in downtown. Another was where the old Morgan Hill School was located on Monterey and Dunn. Or a possible third site was where the library was currently located, what's called the Civic Center site. But nothing actually happened at this time, but at least the process had started. In subsequent years, studies were commissioned to study these various sites. In 2000, I, as president of the Friends at that time, was on a site selection committee. The following year, the next president served on a committee that chose the architect for the new building. It looked like things were finally going to happen. The City Council chose the Civic Center site as the location for this library, but it took a lot of debate about that, much of it rather heated. Funding for construction was still a problem, however, but hopes rose with the passage of the state bond measure for new library construction. The city actually applied 3 times for this funding, but they never scored high enough to get it. Many were discouraged by the delays in the whole process, but the Friends stayed actively involved. often speaking before City Council, urging them to act. The city finally did come through with redevelopment fund monies, but only for a 28,000 square foot building. It was twice the size of the old one, but still smaller than what was really needed. But it really didn't matter. We were finally going to get a new library. In May of 2006, the Friends put on a fantastic groundbreaking event where everyone was invited to bring shovels and help dig. There was music, speeches, refreshments, and a treasure hunt for kids. This was also the beginning of the Friends' major fundraising campaign to provide art and furnishings for the new library. Over the next year, through our Beyond Books campaign, we raised $180,000 from the community. And then the Friends donated an additional $50,000 for a grand total of $230,000. And then the week before the library actually opened, we held a reception for the major donors, which was another grand event. This was all very exciting, but it was nothing compared to the actual day, July 21st, 2007, when the grand opening celebration took place. The Friends were in charge of organizing the event. We had taiko drummers, face painting, entertainment, and gave away thousands of cookies, it seemed. And then, after all the speeches by the various dignitaries, the moment that we'd all been waiting for came, the actual ribbon cutting. The mayor was nearly run over as thousands of people stormed into the library, anxious to see for the first time their new library building. I still get chills when I recall that day. The Friends have come a long way in the last 35 years, and I look forward to seeing where we go next.